Okay, so let's put 3 things on the board if you allow. There's dyad, we tried dyads, and she's saying dyads is when you're contemplating, I'm jumping ahead, correct me if I'm wrong, contemplating across from somebody. So there's 2 people together. One person listens without judgment or interference, without any kind of feedback, and the other person contemplates and then communicates what comes up as a result of that contemplation. And then, depending on how you do it, say you take 5-minute turns, and then a bell rings, and then you switch roles. And you switch roles, you see, and you do that. So there's that aspect. And then there's solo contemplation, where you're just sitting on a chair or whatever, or on a cushion, or walking, I don't care what you do. And you're contemplating, solo by yourself. And then there's a third option, too, that I'd like to add, which is called an intensive. An intensive is when usually you're doing dyads and solo contemplation together, but you're doing it all day long without them. And there's usually other people involved, you see? And so you do it like 6 in the morning till about midnight, and it's all day long. So boom, 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 for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is. And that's an intensive. Now, for the real work, an intensive is much more powerful than any other form. Because the mind, see, like when you do the solo, and I do it all, you know, of course. See? But when you do the solo, you do it for a while. How long? See, however long you do. It's not usually all day, because very few people are going to contemplate all day, right? So you do it for a while, and then you stop and you go back to whatever, lunch or whatever, you know, say whatever the next thing is, catching the bus or whatever it is, you know, arguing with your boyfriend or whatever it is, you know, it's like something. See? There's always something, and then you got involved in that. Now, the contemplation that you do, when you do it, say, for example, you do that daily, a little bit. Yeah. See, then that tends to affect your whole day. See, because you're kind of in that, oh yeah, like what, you know, say you're asking, who am I? Okay. Say, like, who am I? Who am I? And so then, and even later, you know, you're eating and you go, oh, who am I? You know, it's like there. So it kind of sprinkles itself out sometimes, you know, in the day. So it can be very useful for that. Now, diet, on the other hand, keeps you one focus. And like say in our world, we tend to do them 40 minutes at a time. Take a 5-minute break, 40 minutes, and that kind of thing, you know, but down what you want. See, but it keeps you focused because there's somebody else there listening. And when you have the power of somebody listening, you know, sometimes when you're contemplating by yourself, your mind wanders, you know, or you get lost, or you start thinking about all this other stuff. Oh, wait a minute, I'm contemplating, wait a minute, or whatever, see. But when there's somebody sitting there listening to you, you say, it's easier, oh, I got it, yeah. See? And you stay on track. Say, Rinzai is the first, the Zen people, they would face a wall. So they sit on cushions facing a wall for many, many centuries. They'd face the wall, and they'd do their Zen, you know, contemplate. And Rinzai, he was one of the real kick-ass Zen kind of guys, master. He turned his people around. Right. See, so having somebody sit across from you keeps you really on track more than usually by yourself. You know, and then it's very disciplined and clean. And you got whatever 5 minutes, you 5 minutes. That's what you're doing. And you're on it, and then you listen. Say, and then you're on it again. So that's usually also communicating. So you get through stuff. It's like, you know, when you're contemplating by yourself, you go, you mull stuff over. But sometimes when you speak it, voila, it's like, oh, and it just goes away. So that's kind of the power of diet. But they're both useful, and like I say, and then the intensive, you see, it's not, like say you do that for 3 days or something, you get past your mind, too bad we never got the mind person. Anyway, you get past your mind, you see, because after doing it hour after hour after hour after hour, a lot of stuff starts to fall away, and the stuff that you thought was important is no longer important. And the stuff you thought you believed or you thought was true is no longer useful. It's just like, okay, that's crap. Whatever, say it. It's like, okay, yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, now who am I? Then you start getting down to the nitty-gritty over time. All day long, and then all day long, you really start getting down to who am I? Seriously. And that's an intensive, because you're not wandering around doing other stuff in life, and then contemplating, and then doing other stuff, and then contemplating. That's all you're doing the whole time. That's the